Welcome to the Life Curation Podcast. I'm your host, Andrina Tisi. Together, we will explore thoughts, inspirations, and conversations that feed our soul, spark the mind, and nourish the body. Thank you so much for being here to learn and grow, and for walking this journey called life with me. Hello and cheers to another episode. You're tuning into a conversation between Maja, Juzwiak and myself. And I just had to think when Maja and I met, and I think it's about 5 or 6 years ago, and she has taken many of my pictures, which are also on my website. And I really don't like to have my pictures taken. But Maja always makes me feel relaxed and more at ease when I'm standing in front of the camera. And I invited Maja onto the podcast because she has been living a location-independent life. And I have witnessed her journey over the years, and I find it truly inspiring. Whether you want to be more location independent yourself or not, I believe you will get some really valuable inputs from her and our conversation. A little bit more background on Maja. She is Swiss-Brazilian, a very creative mind, a content creator mainly in the form of photography. And her background in marketing, banking, research, business development, and human behavior, including a profound interest in topics related to psychology and philosophy, adds to her experience. For her, taking pictures is more about telling stories, but she will tell us more about all of that. So enjoy. Maja, it's good to have you back in my home.
Thank you for having me. I always like to be here.
Over ginger tea once again.
Yes, I love it. Thank you for that.
I don't do a lot of podcasts with my guests in person, and I always appreciate it and enjoy it even more. I do love the opportunity of Zoom, of course, but it's nice to have you.
I'm also happy that we combine seeing each other finally again and talking.
Exactly. So, to start with, what is your favorite season?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Fall, I would say.
We all have our already superpowers, but what would be your extra superpower?
Flying, so I can be in a lot of places. Wherever I want to go, I go.
Ditto. Which book is currently on your nightstand? And for you and for our topic today, it's probably not your nightstand, but probably your backpack.
Yep. Well, actually, I recently just finished one, so now I have a few actually. No, I just bought the Steve Jobs one.
Oh,
the
cool.
the biography. So, but I haven't started yet, but it's in the plans to start the next few days. And the Atomic Habits, which has been on my rucksack, on my backpack for a long time, but I somehow, I still need to get into it again. So,
cool.
Yeah, but it's there.
And which one did you just finish?
How is it called in English? I only know the name in Portuguese. I'll check it up. I'll tell you later.
Perfect. Excellent. And again, interesting with our topic today, but what's always in your fridge?
If I would have a fridge, probably mushrooms, vegetables, something like that.
What is always in your backpack as a snack?
Apples. and a bit of protein. Some like rice protein or pea protein. I started putting that in as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just interrupting this episode very quickly because I wanted to let you know that this is actually the first of a 3-part series. The next 2 will be about how to start your online business with Dovil Sinke, and then 4 weeks from now, the episode with Anne Söderblom will air, where we talk all about kicking off and creating financial freedom. So I just wanted to let you know to keep an eye out on these 2 upcoming episodes. But now, right back to my conversation with Maja. So you call yourself a hotel nomad, and we'll get into more specifics of that in just a little bit. To start with, how long have you been working and living location independently?
So now it has been 1.5 years. Started in the summer of 2020. So Corona brought me something good. Not to everyone, but for me it was something good. Yeah.
Excellent. And was it a conscious decision, or did it more naturally happen based on your work?
That's actually a bit of a difficult question to answer, because it happened by chance, let's put it that way. But at the same time, I was actually ready to make a change before it happened. So if you go a bit to more a spiritual side of things, one could say that I kind of manifested it.
Excellent, I like that.
But on the other side of it, it happened by chance, because just at the time, I didn't, I was fired because of Corona. I didn't have an apartment because I decided to leave and minimize costs, because I wanted to make a change already. And then this opportunity came up and I grabbed it.
Excellent. So tell us about that opportunity that came up.
So it was, as I said, it kind of everything happened together. I'll try not to tell everything because it's going to be a long story, I guess. I'll try to keep it short. But summarizing it, so as I said, I was trying to minimize things because I wanted to travel. I wanted to do a different lifestyle. I wanted to change a bit. At the time, I was working on a startup. I had my apartment, 1-room apartment in Zurich. And I wanted to start making changes, and the first change that I could do was minimize the things that I had and minimize my costs. And that's when I decided to leave my apartment. I was in Brazil during that time, so that made everything a bit easier to just make these decisions in a place that wasn't here. So I called the real estate agent, and I told her I was going to leave and I was going to sell my things to whoever was going to get it. And my plan was to move to a WG, a shared apartment, to minimize the costs and have less possessions. And then 3 days later, after I talked to the real estate agent, I got a call from my then bosses, saying that they were firing me because of costs, because Corona was hitting hard and they needed to cut costs, and it was only me and the 2 of them. So I was the only place that they could pretty much cut those fixed costs. So as of 1st of July, I wouldn't have an apartment and I wouldn't have a job.
Comforting,
yes. The one side of me was a bit panicking and thinking, okay, maybe I should get an apartment as soon as possible and get a job as soon as possible. But I decided not to. Of course, I did apply to the the RAF, the unemployment insurance. But I decided not to take an apartment because I anyway wanted to go hiking during the summer and I wasn't planning to be much in the city. So I came back from Brazil. I had 2 weeks to clean everything up pretty much, sell the stuff, finish the last projects at work, and get out of the apartment. So that was good because it was a bit like I didn't even have time to think. Like I just had to resolve everything that I had to resolve. And then 3-4 days before I left the apartment, a friend of mine wrote me and she's like, well, she was working in a hotel consultancy company, and she said they were working in a project in Ticino, in the Italian part of Switzerland. And she said they had a hotel there that needed content. If I want to go there for a few days and take some pictures and try out, she knew that I was already taking pictures on the side. I was developing that skill already as a hobby. And I said, sure. I mean, at least I have a place to stay for a few days and let's see what comes out of it. And it ended up being a month that I stayed there. So they kind of paid me with stay and food while I did the pictures and the editing and stayed there in the hotel in Lugano. And yeah, while I was there, another hotel came and then another one. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just make a business out of it. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's proof how things so naturally can fall into place. And a lot of times it takes a lot of trust.
A lot.
And we'll get into that a little bit more detail because I think, also with your work and your lifestyle, you need to have that. I do want to touch on the hotel aspect and, also having a hotel background, and I find it so beautiful that you talk about photography and telling stories. And because it's so much deeper than just a quote unquote simple picture. And yeah, tell us a little bit what that means for you in terms of not just taking pictures, but telling stories.
Yeah, I think, this lifestyle allows me to actually get to know the place really well, because it allows me to stay a bit longer in the place. So it's not like I just go there for one day, take the pictures and leave again. I go there and I actually feel, so a bit my value proposition is to capture the essence of the hotel in pictures. And that's exactly what I try to do. I try to live the place and capture it through the camera to tell the story of the place, of the people, so that people that want to visit the place can actually have an idea of it through the pictures. So pretty much showing what it is, but with, as I said, like the storytelling behind. So telling the story of the business through pictures so that people can actually feel it, and the hotel can communicate a bit better through images, because nowadays, we know that people don't like to read a lot, and images and videos are much more powerful than simple words. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
She's being very modest.
Thank you.
We'll link to her Instagram and her website, of course, and you all see the beauty of her pictures. And so hotel life. I always thought like there's so many stories to tell in a hotel when I was working there, and I think, of course, it's from the hotel itself, it's the employees, it's the ownership, it's the guest, it's the place where it is, right? And even geographically.
I always like to compare the hotels as people. Each hotel is completely unique. They have, you can have 2 4-star hotels in the same location, in the same region, but they're going to be different because the people managing it are different. The people working there are different. The style. So the personality, I'm sure you know that as well from your experience, the personality of the hotelier, of the manager. It translates. It's like any company at the end of the day, just translate in the whole thing. But I think in the hotel, it's even physically visible. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you
Absolutely.
know that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I experienced that when I was working for hotels and I had to travel for my work. And, from the outside, it sounds amazing and very glamorous. And like, I can imagine that people may think, well, that's cool. You go from like 1 4-star or 5-star, or maybe only 3-star hotel, to the other in amazing places in Switzerland or Italy and other places. And of course it's amazing. But what is also maybe an aspect that you feel is challenging for you?
Well, to be honest, there's a few challenges. Well, one of the things is that maybe that's not for everyone. I am a lot alone. That's a fact. I also have to create my own routines. I mean, everyone has to do that, but it's always in a new environment. So I always have to adjust. I always have to be a bit like a chameleon. Like I always have to adjust to the circumstances, to the place. I mean, the positive side of it is also, since I'm always alone, I always have higher chances to really get to know the people or have more contact with the people working in the hotel. Because if you go for a weekend in a hotel, you're served by the people that work there. Maybe you have a small interaction, but that's it. But if you're for a longer period, you can actually have a bit more talk. You can build a bit of confidence and trust between you. So yeah, I guess that's a bit of one of the challenges, to always need to be adapting to every place that you get. So lately I've been staying not more than 2 weeks. Like the average had been 1 to 2 weeks. So every week or every 2 weeks, you're changing places, you're changing the people you're dealing with, the environment. So I mean, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, where am I? So that's sometimes a bit of a challenge, because you're always in movement. And the other challenge, which I faced a lot last year, and now I'm trying to change that a bit, is the food part. Because if I cook for myself, I'm someone that cooks really clean usually. And if you're always consuming hotel food, I mean, we talked about this in the beginning, I remember, and you also had that experience. I mean, when you're always eating hotel food, it's just like, it's just prepared differently. I mean, of course, they put a lot of stuff, so it's super tasty, and really, the food is amazing. Like the quantity of delicious food that I ate was amazing. But on a long term, if you're always eating that kind of food, your system does start complaining. So now, last year I gained a lot of weight, and I was feeling, towards the end of the year, I was feeling very, let's say, intoxicated. And I had the chance to go to Brazil and kind of do a bit of a reset. But now, like, coming back, I'm kind of trying to communicate the hotels about this, so they can, if I can see if they can kind of do something special, maybe with less fats or with certain restrictions, just so that they understand that that's my life. I mean, that's my lifestyle. I can't eat the whole time the normal restaurant food. So that has been one of the big challenges that I've been facing, and that I've been trying to change now, to just communicate openly about it with the hoteliers, and see if it's possible to bring that factor in, so that I can actually live this longer, and make it sustainable, because otherwise it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, I can relate. I mean, I think that for me would be a challenge too. And yeah, I think that goes into already some tips and tricks I, of course, want you to share for the listeners. And also, noticing what's important to you, right? Maybe for somebody else, it's not such a big of a deal, but you say, yes, I did notice that my system can take it, and now I need to make a change and communicate that to the hotels, in your case.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that goes also to other topics. I mean, also integrating exercise in the routine, integrating, like, not overworking in the beginning. Like 1 year ago, I was overworking a lot because I needed to prove something, and I needed to do more and more and more. And I was just going pretty much into a burnout because I thought I had to do everything at once. And I had to kind of understand, no, that doesn't work for me. So what is it that works? Or also, I had times in the beginning of all of this, editing pictures. Sometimes I used to do it in the middle of the night because there's like a certain kind of calmness around, and working in the night is nice. So I used to go into a flow that I just, like, I stayed up until, I don't know, 6 a.m. in the morning editing pictures. And I was dead the next day. Like, there's no way I could have that going on forever. So I stopped with that. I started going to bed early, waking up early. So really paying attention. I mean, and that's the thing, it's not just a job, it's like a whole lifestyle. You have to really be careful and just be aware of what does you good, what doesn't, and how to integrate these things in your life. I mean, of course, that's for everyone, it's like that, but it's just like, you have to be honest with you, and you have to put the limits on yourself, because you're not, I mean, you are choosing your environment, but not 100%. You don't have 100% control of everything, of the places that you're going. So
yeah, and I think there's also different, I'm gonna say, degrees on location independency, right? I think there's probably people who are like, okay, I'm gonna go for 6 months to, I don't know, Spain and work from there because I can. And just, with the last 2 years, I think this is, going to be more possible because the whole online work is more accepted, or people got more used to it. And you're living kind of the extreme version of location independency, because you literally move like you said, every 2 weeks. What is the most rewarding for you?
I think it's exactly that, what I said before, of getting to know different realities, getting to know different people, seeing different places the whole time. I don't know, I have like the travel bug on steroids. I don't know, I just enjoy this discovery every time. Every time it's something new, and sometimes I go to certain hotels that before I'm going there, I'm like, let's see how that's gonna go. And then I get there, and every time I don't know, it's just nice to meet people, to just have that connection. I mean, with the people, but also with the place. Yeah, you get to stay a bit longer in each place, which is nice. Like, not only, I mean, also from the hotel perspective, but also from the region. You get to know the region. I mean, of course, I don't have that much free time when I'm on tight schedule, but I always try to give myself time to actually get to know as well. So now, I mean, in the last 1.5 years, so I've been mainly in Switzerland. I got to know Switzerland with another eye. Like, I know other cities. It's just a completely other vision of the country, and of the people as well. Like, you get to know so much. It's a learning of all the possible aspects, and also the interior learning is also a huge one. So,
well, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, you learn and discover places and meet people, but just what you said before in terms of what you learned about what you need. And I'm sure it's not the only one or the only thing what you just mentioned. You must be in a self-discovery.
Oh yeah. In a lot of senses. But yeah, for sure. I mean, we were just talking as well. I mean, in this last 1.5 years, I have changed a lot. Like I looked myself 1.5 years ago, and so I mean, maybe it's not visible from the outside, but if I look who I was there in the beginning, like so many things have changed and so many things have shifted.
Do you have an example?
Yeah.
Only if you want to share.
Yeah, no. I'm happy to share. So a recent one, which is a really strong one, is that I went with lunch in a group of friends like just last week, and it was kind of my group of friends here in Zurich, where I used to have my base, let's put it that way. And suddenly in that lunch, I just didn't feel like I was part of it. I changed, the circumstances changed, they changed, everything changed. And suddenly what I had thought I was building up for years, because just a parenthesis for the people that don't know, like I grew up in Brazil and I've been in Switzerland for 12 years now. And I've been building up a life in Zurich area. And the space that I thought that I had is no longer there. So I'm not the same person that I used to be, and I don't feel myself part of that anymore. And that's something that 1.5 years I was struggling with a lot, actually, when I entered this hotel nomad journey, I like to say. I still wanted to keep my friends. I still wanted to keep things as they are. But now looking back, I can see that that's just not possible. I mean, it can be, but you just change to a certain degree that it's hard to still fit in a reality that used to be true for you. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And how was that for you to notice it?
It was weird.
Did it make you sad or
Yeah,
more free or?
Both. It was like a combination of a lot of feelings. I was a bit sad, but at the same time, I was also happy to realize that and to be able to say, okay, it is time to let go and maybe just live something else. And then it also came the fear of saying, okay, what I used to know to be true is no longer true. And now a lot of changes are coming my way to actually create a new reality. So that's kind of like a lot of emotions at the same time. It's kind of like, what?
Yeah, and then coming back to this trust, right? And yeah, that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that also it has been a training. I mean, for example, now I know what's going to happen until the end of February, and I have a few hotels planned like sporadically during the year. But November, like March, for example, is completely open. Like I don't know what's going to happen yet. But that, exactly what you said, the trust is like, I need to trust that everything is going to be fine, because otherwise I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you were staying with me a year ago?
Yeah,
Exactly a year ago. And I mean, I remember, and I was like, wow. like, where are you going to be next week? I don't know. Like, poo.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I admire that. I really do. But the beauty is that over a year and a half, it has worked.
Exactly.
And the longer it works, the stronger your trust muscle comes. And I mean, that's such a beautiful example for all of us to learn that, first of all, it takes time to build trust, like self-trust and trust into the universe. And to, I think, manifest and believe that also a little bit when we jump, that the net is going to appear, right? looping back a little bit to what you mentioned with, that example in terms of friends, and how is that? I mean, it's, I know a little bit because, I've not did the nomadic lifestyle as hardcore as you're doing. But, I lived in New York and Vancouver and here, and even have, friends in Basel and Lucerne. My partner lives in Germany.
You're also all over, girl.
And, yeah, so, also in terms of time commitment, right? Like, how are you doing it? Like friends, family, dating?
I'm not sure if I am doing. Well, that's a good question. Well, it's hard to keep up with everyone, and that's the first thing. You know as well how that is. Like, you just have to, you just have to set kind of your priorities and the people that you want to meet and when you want to meet. And that's already something hard to do, because you have to kind of prioritize, and you just say, like, I have these days. When you go to Vancouver, it's probably the same, isn't it? You have to think, like, okay, you have that time. Who am I going to see, and who are the most important people that I want to see in this moment? It doesn't mean that other people are less important, but it's just like, just being honest, and who do you feel like seeing in this moment, and who do you feel like talking to? Now, nowadays with WhatsApp and everything, it's super easy. You're a call away, so you can always send updates. I have a few friends that I don't see for a long time, but we're always exchanging voice messages, and we're always present in each other's lives.
You sometimes know more about each other than if you would see each other or not see each other, right? So it's more of just being in touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one of the things. The other thing, so my family is anyway spread apart. My parents live in Brazil, my middle sister as well, my older sister lives in Australia. So physically we're not close anyway, which maybe makes things a bit easier, I guess.
Yeah.
So with them, it's anyway everything virtually. And on the dating aspect, so I'm single, very single at the moment. So that, of course, I've been trying online dating the past year, but I confess that the second semester of last year, I barely had time for dating, to be honest.
Well, you don't have to.
Right? It's nice. But I didn't even have the time, where that wasn't really on the focus.
Well, maybe again, priority, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
No.
Yeah, I think I remember, like, just when you were talking now, I remember when I visited Switzerland when I still was in New York. And it was like, I think my first time back after like a year and a half. And I was here maybe 2 weeks. And I had coffee with everybody. And got back and was exhausted. And then over the years, I just learned, I'm like, quality over quantity, right? And now, it's and then I just did, like, I'd rather spend 2 coffees with the same person than 1 coffee with 2 different people. Because then you have so much more from each other, right? That's kind of what I then figured out what works or worked for me.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Like, I think that also brings much more, because then, as you said, you have more quality time with the people that, I don't want to, I'm gonna say it, but it's not properly said, like added value. Because...
Well, it's also, I think you just notice who is here, right? And it's also, the real friends doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? And I think that's just what it is.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this also in the past. When you make such a big change, you also realize who's there for you and who isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you also made a massive shift from your lifestyle as well. And I mean, I think everyone that changes to that degree, you have kind of a cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
You make a new, there's the people that stick and that accept you, whatever change you make. There are the people that feel maybe, I don't know, threatened or maybe not understanding or whichever reason it is. There are some people that just don't continue with you in the journey, and then in the new journey there are new people that come up because of
Yeah, and I think this is with so many things like that. I mean, yeah, this is one example, but you know, I always feel like there is this, you know, you can tell something to somebody, maybe a project or a change you want to make or something you're doing, and one person can be, oh my God, this is amazing. The other person can be, are you sure? This is not going to work.
Exactly.
And I've always had a little bit that feeling, and I love Switzerland, but I always had a little bit of a feeling that more in Canada and the States, it's like maybe a little bit too much, but it's like super excited. Oh my God, this is awesome. And in Switzerland, like the voice of reason comes first. This is not going to work. It's going to cost too much money. It's not possible. So I think finding the balance, and I think of course we need both, but yeah, I do think, you know, we want to have both kind of energies in our life.
Yeah, for sure. But you also, I mean, even the rational one, I mean, you can go around it in different ways, you know, like different people go around it with different ways. So of course the rational side of it, or let's say the foot on the ground, are important. But if someone keeps telling you it's not gonna work and you're crazy and I don't know what, then maybe you shouldn't be around that person.
Yeah. So you learned a lot.
I am learning a lot. I gotta change that a bit.
We all are always learning.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And we're always growing, like the beautiful tulips in front of us.
Yeah.
What would you, looking back to your 1.5 year younger self, what would you tell her?
Well, I think a few things we've touched upon already. I guess one of the things is the trust thing, like just everything's gonna be okay at the end. I still have to tell myself that nowadays. So I think my future self is probably gonna tell me the same thing.
Perfect.
And also this thing about not having the feeling that you have to do everything at once. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know, I had that, or I still have that, to be honest. That when you start something, that you have to be already mastering it. And I mean, it ends up also, if you start comparing yourself with other people in other journeys, you have the feeling that you're behind, or you're not making it work or whatever. But I mean, at the end, it just needs time. And I think that's something that, again, it's something that I still struggle a little bit with, but I'm learning. But it's definitely something that I would tell myself 1.5 years ago as well. Say, just take it easy. Mm-hmm. Just slow down.
Yeah. I think we can all hear that.
Yeah. We just put too much pressure on ourselves, I guess.
Yeah. Do you see yourself settling in one place at some point in the near future, or is that not a topic at all?
I think for now, not yet, because I wouldn't even know where to settle.
Yeah.
So I think I'm still kind of, I'm still collecting data. So I don't know. For now, it doesn't make sense for me to settle yet. Eventually, yes, I do want to have a base eventually, but if that's gonna be in a year, in two, and I don't know. I don't know when that's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's see. I'll
Let's
keep
see.
you posted.
Please do. So if somebody is kind of playing with this thought of wanting to be more location independent, and also, of course, also based on their work and all that could be possible, what would maybe be some additional tips? And I think what you touched on in terms of routine and food and communicating our needs is definitely one thing, but what else is there that you think that is really valuable to know or to consider?
I think research and planning, in the sense of research. What I mean with research is, a lot of people have done that transition. If you look at a worldwide perspective, like not specifically hotel nomad, but kind of this nomad life or place independent opportunity, let's put it that way. So search for people that have been there. Nowadays, with online content and everything, you can see a lot of people give also courses about it, things that you have to consider, read books where people have done that as well. I've done that, which has helped me to just kind of have a sense of actually how to do that transition, because it's not just kind of like, yeah, now I'm just gonna go. There's a few things that you have to consider, like, I don't know, something simple, but in Switzerland you can't be a nomad. You need to have an address. You need to be registered somewhere. That's one of the points. And other point is some institutions still send you physical mail. Where are you going to receive these? So there's a few points that you have to consider and you have to plan. And I mean, if anyone listening, they want to make this transition, please call me, please write me. I'm happy to help with whatever I can, because sometimes having someone helping you in that process that has been through that can help you a lot. Like I was lucky that I was with a coach at the time that everything happened, and he helped me, like, considering a few things, like not these more, let's say, administrative things that I had to figure out myself, but also on a psychological level, like to help you go through this. You don't have to go through this alone. I think that's kind of the one of the key messages, I think.
So in life, we don't have to go through it alone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is a really beautiful message to slowly wrap this up. Thank you so much for your insights. And maybe we can add one or two books that you read. Maybe we can add that to the show notes as well. That could be helpful. Before we close, as we are on the Life Creation podcast, and life creation is also this creative process, and your work and your life is very creative. And do you have maybe like a life creation mantra or quote that guides you? Maybe right now, maybe it did in the past. And of course, those can also change. But what comes up for you?
I think one that if I look back, I've been using it for a long time actually, and I still use it. It's just like, see it as a game. So, or a project. Yeah, I used to say make it a project. Nowadays, I just kind of changed it a little bit and didn't see it as a game because it makes it more fun. And also, it's kind of like, think about a video game. You have levels and you just have to, some levels you just get stuck on it and it's super hard to go to the next one. But eventually you do. And sometimes you get to the, let's say, the big bosses of the, you know, like the big, really hard, challenging levels.
The dragon.
Exactly, like, yeah, that's exactly the dragon or the monster. I don't know, because I know the name in Portuguese, but I don't know the name in English. It's like a chefão, it's like the boss, the big boss, the dragon. That you get there and you're scared and it's like, shit, okay, that's the time of this guy. And then you struggle, you go through hard times, but eventually you manage it and you go through it. And I don't know, I've been trying to apply that a lot and it helps me because it gamifies it.
Well, it makes it playful.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
I love it.
It
cool.
just makes it fun somehow. So even though you get into the hard times, you know that that's also going to go through. So if you fight for it and maybe change the perspective of it or change the strategy. So
cool. Yeah, for play and game.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maja.
Thanks to you. And thank you for all your help during this 1.5 years as well.
I'm here. Are you ready to pack your bags? Just kidding. I really appreciate Maja's honesty about what she loves about her lifestyle and also what is challenging. And, you know, re-evaluating what works for us and what we want and need to change to be more supportive to ourselves is really important in any lifestyle. So whether you move around as she does or not, I think it's a really good insight and reminder. So the links to our website, Instagram, as well as the books she mentioned are in the show notes. And she's also gifting all of us a phone wallpaper picture of the ocean. And you can also find the link in the show notes. It's absolutely dreamy. As we also mentioned, asking for support and not having to do things by ourselves can be a huge relief. And sometimes we are just overwhelmed and don't even know where to start, or we are stuck somewhere in between. So if you don't know already, I do offer free initial coaching consultation. So just reach out if you have something that you would like to share and discuss with somebody. And as always, I so appreciate you tuning in and listening in. I, of course, would love for you to share the podcast with your friends and family and your community. And feel free to hop over to iTunes, scroll down, and give the podcast those 5 stars and possibly even a review. So thank you again, and until next time.